Today, I want to talk about creativity. I want to talk about what it takes to create something totally new and to be willing to see what that new thing can be. I have always been a very creative person, but how I use my creativity has had to reach brand new heights as a business owner. Because not only am I creating my own products and creating my services, my way of doing things, my niche, but I'm also helping others create a vision for something they've never seen before. And for most people, dreaming a dream of something that's never existed before is incredibly intimidating. And I've had to be able to deeply root into and figure out where my creativity comes from so I can help them on this path. If this is your first time seeing me, my name is Danielle. I'm the founder of Vibrant Systems, and Vibrant Systems is on a mission to help people deepen their connections to self, to others, and to the environment through a wide variety of methods. But community, at the end of the day, is my passion. I help people build their capacity for community through various self-help, self-growth type materials, through mindfulness, things like that. But honestly, when I think about self-growth, personal development, for me, a lot of that has been very tied into, excuse the cat flyby, very tied into my business development. They are one and the same for me. And as a business owner, I have really had to come to terms with the fact that the way I'm comfortable using my creativity has had to shift and change to account for the needs of my business, to move forward in a way that is fluid and dynamic and responsive to the needs of my clients. And so, if you're brand new, welcome to my channel. Join me on this personal growth journey. Please, I would love to draw in more people like yourself who cares deeply about finding what lights them up and exploring it on such a deep level that they can no longer deny it anymore. That, to me, is the lifeblood of why I do what I do. And this playlist in particular, my The Journey So Far playlist that I have, is all about how I've had to grow and expand and develop as a business owner. So if you're someone who is also on a personal business journey or a professional journey of some sort, you can head over back to the beginning of this playlist and see how far I've come, because I have already come so far, and I've only been doing this for just about 2 years, I guess, this March. That's very exciting for me, actually. Very exciting. Wow, to sit with that for a moment, to give myself a chance to realize that I have been on this path for 2 years. That's phenomenal. A lot of that path, a lot of the start of that path was not online. You won't see me posting videos back in March 2024, and that's because I've had to grow and change and step into my creativity in such different ways on this journey that doing YouTube videos like this one weren't even a thought when I started Vibrant Systems. How crazy is that? Wow. Sorry, that's just a moment for myself. So why? Why is this the topic I want to talk about today? In short, it's because this past couple of weeks even, I've been exploring my creativity in a new way, and maybe you can see them beside me, but I have some paintings that I'm gonna show you and talk about. I've been a creative person, like I said, my whole life. For me, my initial creative outlet was writing. It was something that was accessible to me. I loved reading, and so fantasy books in a lot of ways were a doorway into a new world when I was living in what felt like physical limitation. Of course, I was a kid. I didn't have the opportunity to go and travel. I definitely wasn't slaying dragons at 7 years old. Sometimes I wished I was, but I wasn't, right? So books were that pathway, and writing, creative writing for me, was another pathway. For most of my life still, I wanted to be an author. I wanted to write books. I wanted to be world famous and to inspire kids the way I was inspired. There was a point in my life where that creative spark disappeared. It was gone. I was burnt out. I was exhausted because I was entering the career force. I was doing everything right by a certain set of standards that did not actually reflect me and my authenticity. And that led to such a deep soul level burnout. And that deep soul level burnout had cascading effects in my life. It led me to settle for relationships and communities that were not aligned with who I am, with the path I'm meant to walk. It led me to stop caring about my own values. And so if you're interested, if you go to the Vibrant shop on vibrantsystems.ca and you explore the things I offer, you'll see Elements of Self, which is a video course that I created when I was learning how to reconnect with my authenticity, which again, my authenticity is so deeply creative. And so that's how I reconnected with that inner fire. That's how I balanced it so I wasn't so terrified of having it burn me out again. You'll go and you'll see my value identification and exploration workbook, which is what I created when I was walking through my own values journey of, okay, what questions do I need to ask myself to figure out what I really care about, what really drives me, what really makes my heart sing or fulfills me or brings me satisfaction in life. And each of those products, everything I do from Vibrant Systems, everything is created from this soul level place. Now, most of those creations are still in a form of writing because, like I said, is, in a lot of ways, still is my happy place. It's my comfort zone. And I have always painted, but before, when I was painting, the kinds of things somebody would like to see on their wall. They weren't coming from within. I was painting in response to something outside of myself. And this, when I say past month, this goes into February, but it's been about a month-long span now that I can talk about this. This month has been such a transition of where I'm creating from. It's this soul level, deep sacral chakra type creation. It's this universe connection type creation that is a lot of fun. It's something that energizes me in a way that's inexplicable otherwise. If you've never felt this, but you have this same kind of creativity within you, I'll share some tips of how I got there later on in the video, so stay tuned. It's a lot of fun and it's ease-filled. It's not something I'm questioning myself on as much, even when I make the mistakes, because what I've been creating is not perfect at all. Fuck, it's not perfect. Pardon my language. It's just not. But it's fun and it's fulfilling and it's satisfying. And I love the fact that I can hang this stuff on my walls and see the different stages I'm going through all within a month span. It's incredible. And honestly, I think the other really interesting part is when I'm painting from this place where I'm not asking myself to paint something specific, where I'm just letting it come through and be what it is, I'm painting things I never expected to paint. And so the first one I'll share with you, which still is probably one of the favorite paintings I've ever made, is this. Look at that little bear. I had no idea a bear was going to show up in this painting. I had no idea it was going to be a forest or northern lights or anything. I started with a mint green color in the back, but I had so much fun sitting and letting this pour out of me, and it quite literally did pour out of me. This was in one sitting. And that little bear, originally, I was trying to make him a Sasquatch, and obviously the Sasquatch didn't work, but that bear is like perfect. What the heck? I love that. This was a painting I made. Oh, we're gonna have Leo come in. I made when visiting a friend, and we're able to hold space for each other's creativity. And so that's something we were doing. I was visiting one night, we just spent painting, and that's what came out of it for me. And she also painted something fantastic. So the energy, the vibes were really flowing that night. It was a lot of fun. But it came from being willing to not know what was going to happen. It came from making a mistake on the Sasquatch and turning it into something adorable. And there's still parts of the painting that I don't love. I don't love the way the northern lights are because I added the moon after I did them initially, and then I tried to put some northern lights in front of the moon, and it doesn't look great up close. Maybe you could tell in the video, maybe you couldn't. But that's okay, because it was created from such a deep place, and that's what I wanted when I was painting it. The next one I'll show you. The image for this one actually came to me in a really deep meditation. It's a rainbow serpent, which for some of you, maybe you're already familiar, maybe you're not. But the rainbow serpent is a symbol of creation itself. And I was in an incredible meditative journey with Sabrina from the Rewilding team, and I'll put the link to that channel down below because I do find such resonance with her content. But I made that after sitting through her Rewilding challenge this February. I had, in one of the meditative sessions, I saw this snake, and this snake had all sorts of different colors in it, and I didn't have a word for that at first. And then she was the one who said, maybe you see the rainbow serpent. And I was like, oh, I do see the rainbow serpent. And so from that, I was like, well, I guess I have to paint the rainbow serpent. And that's how that one came to be, which I also just love. That's not something I could do before. That's not a freedom I had with my creativity before, where I trusted that I had the power to bring an image in my head onto a canvas. Especially with, animals, living things, right? They're so dynamic. I thought there was no way I could capture that. And it took a little while with the snake to get the face right. And honestly, some people might look at it and still feel like it's not right, and that's okay. Again, it's more about fun. It's more about expression. It's playfulness. And playfulness is really one of my core values. So I don't need it to be perfect to be happy. Now, the final painting that I'll share with you and talk a little bit about is, I painted it like 2 nights ago, just 2 nights ago. And it's so fun. It's so bright. It's marigolds, obviously on a pink background. And once again, I had no idea that this was what was going to come out of this canvas. When I bought this canvas, I didn't have a clue what I was going to put on it. When I started painting the pink, I didn't have a clue what it was going to turn into. Painting the pink turned into finger painting, which turned into the marigolds, and then I just had to add the leaves, right? And it was this process of trusting that whatever this creative flow was, it was there for a reason. Now, yes, this video was a self-indulgent opportunity for me to show off my favorite paintings. Honestly, it wasn't even all of my favorite paintings. There's 3 more hanging up, but I'll spare you the full gallery exploration in this video. We won't have to go through them all. So yes, it was a little self-indulgent. It was a little bit just for me, but also equally, it was to really ground into this idea that creation, sometimes it wants to flow. It wants to flow, it wants to be unexpected, and it wants to bring something forward. And yes, there may be some people who look at these paintings and feel like they could never create something like that. And my second reminder is that creation shows up in so many different forms. every single one of these paintings, every single one of the paintings I've ever created is in a totally different style. It's totally different purposes and images. I am not a professional by any means. I have no intention, at least at this point in my life, of ever trying to sell my paintings or create them in a certain way to appeal to others. That's not why I do it. And painting is just one of the ways that I've been expanding my creative energy. The other way is, like I said, in my business. And so this is the segue that I wanted to make it to after the self-indulgent moment of, showing off my paintings. If you're a business owner, if you're an entrepreneur of some sort, if you're in a creative space in your organization or company or wherever you work, creation is for you too. And there's a lot we can bring into even the smallest creative tasks. For example, today I spent probably 3 hours creating Pinterest pins to promote my value identification and exploration workbook. And part of that creative process was really beginning to let go of the preconceived ideas that I had been clinging to about what my Pinterest pages needed to look like, about how I needed to promote my pins. And I mentioned this earlier, writing is very, very much my comfort zone when it comes to creation. Painting's getting there, apparently. Apparently I've been doing it a lot, but writing is my comfort zone. And I was using that comfort zone as the primary creative energy for my Pinterest pins. Now, if you've ever worked with Pinterest or used it, you know that writing really plays a very small part in Pinterest. It's not about what you can write, it's what people see. It's a very visual search engine. And that means understanding the framework, the rules, the guidelines that help me succeed in that way, which really meant learning how to let go of this writing comfort zone that I was in. It meant learning to be willing to do the keyword research and then let my creativity flow from there, rather than flow from this really deep, authentic place from me, this really deep, authentic place within that realistically nobody is searching on Pinterest because they haven't heard of it yet, because it's new, because I created it. And again, like I said, that had to be a lot of release on my part. And this is true for other social media. It's true for YouTube. I had a meeting earlier this week with a great, fantastic SEO management team who I'm hoping one day I'll be able to maybe hire to manage some of the parts of my channel aside from the content creation. But I was able to learn from them a lot of the places that I needed to release control around my creative process in order for more people to find my content. Because at the end of the day, yes, my creativity is great. Yes, I love sitting here talking to you in this video. I love sharing my paintings. I love sharing my growth journey, my personal growth, and my professional development. I love doing that. It is a lot of fun for me to sit here and share these lessons with you. At the same time, it doesn't matter if nobody sees it. And that's the part, and it's taken 2 years to kind of come to this point. So I'm not saying, it might happen instantly for you either. But it's been this process of learning that I can create from an authentic place and release control. I can create very fluidly and openly and work within the ideal guidelines of the platform that I'm on. And when I don't want to work on any guidelines, that's what my painting's for. That's what my creative writing's for. That's something I go and do on my own time. But professionally, to meet the people I know I'm meant to meet, I need to learn how to work within certain guidelines and let my creativity grow from there. And that is not a bad thing. It's been a hard lesson for me because I have very, very strongly clung to my ideas of what my creativity can be. But, getting distracted by a cat, but it has been worth it, and I am so, so pleased to be able to share this stuff, this learning with you. And if you felt you've resonated with this content up to this point, I did say I'd give a few strategies for, I think, tapping into your creativity. I can share those quick before I hop off. But if you've made it to this point, I would like to invite you to subscribe to my channel to learn more about professional development, personal growth, mindfulness, community building. I do all of that, and I do it with a very strong intention to build a community. So also, if you want to leave a comment below, I would love to hear it. I love seeing your comments. Okay, so before I leave, let's get to this point. How can you expand how you use your creativity? How can you expand in a way where you begin to loosen the grip on how your creativity expresses itself? I think play in this area is so underrated. Especially as adults, many of us forget how to play. Or we play in very, very specific and rigid ways. Maybe we play video games, and that's great. Not knocking video games. They have a place, 100%. But it's not creative in the same way that free play is. And for me, painting is very much play. Writing is very much play when I'm doing it outside of work. So what does that play look like for you? And to be fair, when I was starting this journey, play was Play-Doh and it was air dry clay because it was very tactile and that's what I needed at this time. So it can look like anything. It can look like dancing. It can look like putting on your favorite album or CD that you haven't touched in years, because most of us have Spotify or YouTube. Put on your favorite CD and dance through the entire thing. Even if the dancing feels weird because the song's not quite right, I dare you. I dare you to try it. There's a lot of freedom in letting yourself be goofy when you dance. Another way you can begin to expand your appreciation for creativity in your life is don't throw out what you create. And this one may be controversial, so let me explain where I'm coming from. If you need to make space and toss stuff, that's your choice. But don't decide that a creative endeavor wasn't worth it just because you aren't happy with the outcome or because the outcome was different than what you hoped for. I have another painting that my eyes keep getting drawn to. It is right in front of my face on the wall opposite me. And I made it through finger painting because, like I said, I like my tactile things. But I made it through finger painting and I kind of just kept adding paint. And I started with orange and purple. And of course, when you're just adding a bunch of paint and keep poking it, it's going to mix, right? And it took me probably 2 hours to find the painting that wanted to come out of that. And I don't think what came out of it is actually very reflective of what my initial intention was when I started painting it that day. I had to release an expectation of the outcome, and I had to be willing to let it sit. And what I have now, yeah, it's not what I wanted, perhaps, but it reflects a very specific time of my life, and there's a lot of value in that. And when I can see it, I can express gratitude for that time of my life and for the growth I've had in my skills since then. Another painting that I have, I painted it. I knew exactly what I wanted to paint. It turned out pretty fantastic based on what my vision was in my mind. And at first, I wanted to throw it out because it held a lot of emotions for me. I was using this as a very cathartic process. and I didn't want to keep it. But now, again, I can look at it, I can see the thought, the care, the passion, the love, the grief that was poured into that painting. And I have so much gratitude for the time I took to create it. And with your creative projects, whatever reason you're resistant to keeping it, I encourage you to look for that seed of gratitude for what it was first. And that's why I keep all of my YouTube videos. It's why I keep all of my Instagram videos. It's why I like going back to the beginning of my process and seeing how far I've grown. Our creations, especially the ones that physically show up in the world, I still have like a USB drive of all the stories I tried to write from like 7 years old to 17 years old. I still have those. And I have those because now I can look back and be like, wow, I really have come a long way in my process. And when I can look back at that and I can see the gems that are hidden there, not only am I grateful for the version of me that took the time to learn those lessons, but I can take those gems and repurpose them with the skill level, with the knowledge, and with the awareness that I have now. So don't throw your creativity out. That rejects it. That rejects whatever seed was within you. Trust that whatever you did create was what was ready at that time, and let yourself mature and grow into seeing something more. Creativity, for me, again, it's such a joyous part of my life. Not everybody is creative in the same way, and not everybody is creative to the same extent. And we need both kinds of people. So if you're watching this, if you're still watching this, thank you, because your attention and engagement is really important to me. But if you're watching this and you're not a very creative person, again, on one hand, I do want to invite you to see creativity in other ways. Maybe it's how you cook. Maybe it's how you move, or how you see the world, how you watch movies. There's so many ways to be creative. But also, however you are creative and to whatever extent you are creative still matters. And when you learn to deepen into gratitude for that, your expansion for creativity and your expansion to see new solutions and to be able to vision something better, to dream something bigger, expands. And I want that for every single one of us. My name's Danielle. My mission is to help people deepen their connections to self, to others, and to the environment. Subscribe if you want to see more content or follow me on my journey, and let's make your story a vibrant one. Thank you for watching.